The right-wing extremist group known as Diagolon had a public gathering right here behind me at the Langley Lions Hall just last week.
This man you're looking at is Jeremy Mackenzie. He's the creator and co-founder of the far-right extremist group known as the Diagolon. Diagolon is often brushed off as just trolling or just jokes, but researchers, journalists, and Canadian authorities have identified it as far-right extremist movement. It uses irony, memes, and shock humor to spread racist, anti-government, and accelerationist ideas, while also organizing real-world meetups and protests. This isn't just online behavior. Mackenzie and his followers have held in-person gatherings, including one very close to where I live. That matters because these aren't harmless internet jokes anymore. These are real people, meeting in real places with extreme beliefs. Mackenzie and another Diagolon associate went as far as making explicit threats towards Pierre Poilievre's wife during a live stream, which I don't like the guy, but just listen to this.
We should. Let's her. Like more, we have these conversations. We target people we may cower in the future. Oh, dude, no. We'll just be like, it's not really a sex thing. It's like we just want to show people that we can do things to you if we want to.
Despite later claiming he didn't know what Diagolon was for or what it stood for, Pierre had previously been photographed shaking hands with Mackenzie. It wasn't until threats were made towards his wife that he publicly denounced the group. So even when he knew about the group, he still didn't denounce it until these threats were made against his wife.
More reasonable tone of the Leader of the Opposition. I wonder if he might take this opportunity to reassure Canadians that he does not support extremist white nationalist organizations like Diagolon, nor wants their votes.
He straight up only said, "That's false," and move on to something else.
That is false. And furthermore, there are 6 people dying every day in British Columbia.
Point out that the Leader of the Opposition refuses to say a simple thing, that he condemns Diagolon because they are a white nationalist violent organization, that he rejects the endorsement of Alex Jones, an extremist conspiracy theorist who denied the deaths of 20 kids at Sandy Hook. These are things that concern Canadians that he should also answer for.
Now, this time he didn't even answer the question and brought a completely different topic. I don't like either of these two guys, Justin or Pierre, and I don't consider myself a liberal or a conservative. I consider myself a leftist. And these kind of topics are the ones that we talk about in my family. And as crazy as it might seem, I'm the only quote-unquote liberal, if you can call it that. In my family, everyone else is a right-wing conspiracy theorist. I'm not even joking. And this topic of Diagolon came up in a conversation that I had with a relative. I, as a person of color, was giving an explanation to my relative. And they are oblivious to these kind of things, and also very right-wing conspiracy theorists. The response was that it was just a joke, and I'm talking about the group, not what they said to Pierre Poilievre's wife or whatever, and nothing to worry about. But these kind of extremist movements have always hidden behind memes, irony, and jokes, and we have seen this before. For example, on 4chan, users once pushed the idea that the OK hand sign was a joke symbol for white power. It started as a trolling or like as memes or whatever, until real white supremacists adopted it openly, like real racists adopted it. What began as irony became a real extremist signal, whistleblowing and stuff like that. And the same thing happened with edgy humor during the YouTube era. Some creators normalized racism, anti-Semitism, and xenophobia by framing it as jokes with no consequences. You can probably guess what I'm talking about. One of the most disturbing examples of how this culture spread is the Christchurch attacker, who deliberately used internet meme language and symbols in court and referenced popular online figures during his attack. Again, you can probably tell who I'm talking about. This doesn't mean every internet creator is directly responsible for violence, but it does show how online radicalization works. Constant exposure to racist jokes, dehumanization, and irony lowers the barrier. It makes hatred feel normal. It makes violence feel less shocking. Mostly nowadays, with all the things going on, it feels like everybody's just openly racist and there's no consequences behind their actions. So when people say it's just jokes, they ignore how extremist movements actually grow. They don't start with uniforms or slogans. They start with memes. They start with irony. They start with people saying, "Relax, it's just a joke. It's not that serious." A great example of how jokes can turn into terrorism or memes turn into political ideologies. It's Pepe the Frog. It didn't start political at all. It was created in 2005 by an artist named Matt Fury for a comic called Boys Club. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, Pepe became a reaction meme. Happy Pepe, sad Pepe, smug Pepe. People use him everywhere. Twitter, Reddit, forums. At this point, Pepe meant nothing. That changed around 2014 to 2016. On anonymous forums like 4chan, users started experimenting with irony. They took normal memes and pushed them further just to get reactions. Shock became the point. Pepe was perfect for that, for whatever reason. People began posting Pepe next to offensive jokes, extremist language, and historical symbols tied to Nazism. When outsiders reacted, users denied meaning. They said it was satire, they said it was used trolling. But repetition matters. During the 2016 US election, Pepe became closely tied to online Trump supporter spaces. People edited Trump to look like Pepe, others turned Pepe into a Trump supporter caricature. Trump himself even shared Pepe-style imagery online at some point. That didn't make Pepe inherently political, but it anchored the meme inside a specific online movement. From there, new symbols formed. One of them was Kek, K-E-K. It started as a gamer slang for laughing, on 4chan obviously, where else? It became exaggerated and mythologized. Users invented a fake god named Kekt and a fake country called Kekistan. Kekistan had a green flag. The flag design was intentionally provocative. Users claimed it was just fictional, just ironic, but because people brought that flag into the real world, they waved it at rallies. They used it to signal shared beliefs without saying them directly. Then came Groyper. Groypers are a version of Pepe with a rounder face and hands folded together. They were adopted by younger and more aggressive far-right online groups. The image became an identity marker, not a joke, not random. Groypers used Pepe-style imagery to push talking points, organize harassment, and pressure mainstream political spaces from the inside. At the same time, QAnon communities began using Pepe too. QAnon memes often feature Pepe dressed as soldiers, patriots, or truth seekers. The frog became part of the conspiracy storytelling. Again, humor first, belief later. This wasn't accidental. Memes work because they lower defenses. They don't read like propaganda, they look like jokes. The creator of Pepe, Mike Fury, tried to stop this. He publicly spoke against how Pepe was being used. He took legal action to reclaim the character. He even tried to symbolically end Pepe in his comics. But once the symbol spreads online, the creator loses control. Not everyone who shared Pepe supported extremist ideas. That ambiguity was the shield. People could always say, it's just a meme, it doesn't mean that you're overreacting. That's how symbols move from harmless to harmful without a clear movement where everyone agrees it changed. This is the YouTuber PewDiePie at around his edgy YouTuber era. And this is a compilation of him saying the N-word. If already saying it once is bad, imagine having a compilation. At around this time is when he was going on with his crusade with collaborating with right-wingers like Ben Shapiro, Dr. Phil, Elon Musk, and he was even shouting out like Nazi propaganda YouTube channels. This was also the time where he made all those crazy jokes from earlier. And growing up around this time for people of color was hard, not only because of his stupidity, but also people using racism as an excuse for edgy jokes. In the early to mid-2010s, YouTube rewarded shock. Creators learned fast that being loud, offensive, or edgy got clicks. Saying something normal didn't travel, or saying something shocking did. So a lot of creators leaned towards edgy humor. Racist jokes were framed as irony, slurs were framed as comedy. If anyone criticized it, the response was always the same. It's just a joke, you're too sensitive, that's the character, it's just words. The framing mattered, because when racism is presented as humor, it stops feeling serious. People laugh first, then repeat it, then stop questioning it. A lot of viewers were young, teenagers and kids. They weren't watching academic debates, they were watching pranks, gaming videos, reaction content. When creators casually dropped racist jokes, it taught something quietly. That this language was normal, that mocking entire groups was entertainment, that empathy was uncool. Over time, the jokes escalated. What started as shock humor turned into stereotypes, then into dehumanization, then into talking points pulled straight from extremist spaces. And because it was wrapped in humor, it didn't feel like ideology. Algorithms play a role too. If you watch edgy comedy, you got recommended more and more of it. Then political content, then creators pushing anti-SJW narratives, then content blaming minorities for social problems. It wasn't a straight jump, it was a slow slide. Creators often hid behind plausible deniability. They said they didn't mean it, they said it was satire. They said people should learn to take a joke, but impact matters more than intent. The result was a culture where racist language felt casual, where saying extreme things felt rebellious instead of dangerous, where viewers learned that cruelty got applause. This environment made extremist ideas easier to introduce later. By the time explicit ideology showed up, the audience was already desensitized. That's how normalization works, not through speeches, through laughs. Going back to earlier, this location right here is where Diagolon held a meetup. And it's so close to where I live, probably like a 20-minute walk, I'm not even joking, probably like less than that. And this makes me wonder how many people who believe these things live near me. As a father, a husband, and a person of color, that fear is real. People are far too comfortable being openly racist today, and groups like this thrive in that comfort. The individuals and movements mentioned here have caused real harm to many minorities, and the trend isn't getting any better. It's getting worse. So next time you see somebody saying that it's just a joke and that there's no real meaning behind it, take a deeper look and judge for yourself, do your own research, and don't believe everything that people say. This kind of stuff, you have to do your own research. This is why dismissing extremist rhetoric as jokes is dangerous. Racism online can look harmless at first. A joke, a meme, a comment section full of irony, but that's how it often starts. When racist ideas spread online, they slowly change what feels normal. People get used to hate. They stop questioning it. Algorithms push extreme content because it gets attention. The more someone clicks, the more intense the content becomes. Over time, racist beliefs turn into conspiracy thinking and us versus them thinking. That's how hate groups recruit. They don't start with violence, they start with belonging. These groups move people from online spaces into private chats, then into real-world meetings. Some members go on to commit attacks, believing they're defending something or someone. That's how online racism can turn into real-world terrorism. This isn't about free speech. It's about harm. Words shape beliefs, beliefs shape actions. And when hate goes unchecked online, people get hurt in real life. Thanks for watching.